Hello and welcome to BCU TV. I am Varun Raj, and today we will be discussing about graphics, animation and special effects used in television production. Graphics used to be limited to whatever you could photograph with a video camera. Today the most graphics used in television programming are computer generated and range all way from displaying the name of a person being interviewed to totally realistic backgrounds and settings. Graphics before were used to be physical graphics, or you could call as physical visual effects, where if they wanted to show something behind a person, they had to physically bring an object behind a person and then do it. Whereas now the computer helps in creating graphics like this map itself and the names. uh, you can see the names being made using graphics. There you can see the chart, the meter, and all these are graphically made to represent each states and places where there will be rain and places where there will be no rain. So here we can see a person who is forecasting weather to a news audience. So here we see a screen is being used. The LCD screen displays the graphics. She will be appearing as if she is standing right on the map or right front of the map. So graphics does not only use this to show her byline, like who is talking, what is happening, the highlights, which you can see in news channels where the highlights or breaking news, all those are graphics. So graphic is not limited by very small things. They start even from telling names of a state, of a person, up to making a full blown characters who are very realistic. So when most people think about graphic design jobs, they usually think about marketing, advertising, doing websites, logos, creating promotional materials for print or digital. Yes, they do that, but apart from that, there are a lot of other things too. There is compositing, there is rotoscopy, there is text animation, there is again types of animations. We have a lot of types of animations. So all those comes under the umbrella of graphics, to change the light, to color correct, to composite, 2D compositing, 3D compositing, and all that, to blend, to mask. So in television and film they use, and also movie productions, serial productions. So graphic is widely used. Then comes the animation. Animation is a method in which figures are manipulated to appear as if they are moving images. So here in an example we can see this is a walk cycle of a 2D character. So this is frame 1, frame 2, frame 3, frame 4 and frame 5. So this is a contact pose, this is a low pose, this is passing pose, high pose, and again contact pose. So such images are used one after another continuously and played, and it gives the illusion of motion. So that is the basic 2D animation. So a standard very decent animation uses 24 frames per second, 24 fps, or 24 pictures per second. You have 24. This is 1 2 3 4 5. So this is 5 frames, and after these frames there is an option called motion tween. Motion tween is where you keep all these characters or all the frames, and the motion tween option will fill in the frames in between. Now since we have 5, remaining 19 of the frames are automatically done by the system. So when it comes to animation, this is a 2D animation which I spoke about. Then there is a 3D animation, there is a stop motion animation. Again, like I said, there are different types of animation. I will go one by one. So like we saw the 2D animation, this is how the 2D animation works. In 2D animation, it is the characters are usually drawn, the objects are usually drawn one frame after another. So you will have before, all the drawings were done physically, and they used something called light box to trace an object. So when you keep this object under the light box, the light would show, okay, is this image So the next image, the paper would be placed right above this, and this image would be drawn, and then like that 24 images had to be drawn, and then everything was played one after another in the speed of our eyes, that is 24 frames per second, and then you used to get a motion. Whereas in 3D, now we can see this is one example of 3D used in Aaj Tak, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi is 3D animated, and he's made to do the support the script. So this is a satirical comedy which Aaj Tak used to show on its TV. So here this is a 3D animation. So what happens in 3D animation is the mesh is manipulated, the model is modeled to be shown from all the sides, whereas in 2D animation you see it is only we can only see the right side of the character, whereas in 3D animation we can see all the directions of the character. And you can also change the camera. Here the camera, the angle, the perspective is drawn, everything is drawn, everything is either digitally or physically drawn. Here once you do the model, once you add the texture of how the material should reflect to light, how it should appear. Now this is made to be appearing as a cloth, this is made to be appearing as a flag, the properties, all the properties are being put. This is made to be appeared as a some sort of a metal. So all these are done using manipulation of mesh. So what is mesh, you might ask? So mesh is nothing but the topology of an object. So let's say this is a mesh. So each mesh will have 3 important components. So that is vertices, edges, and face. So all these points here, all the points where edge intersect is called vertices. So you can manually hold these vertices and change it, change the model, change the animation of a character by manipulating this, by changing it x, y, z axis. And these are called loops, these are called edges. These are edges. Again, edges, this whole thing will be selected. If I select this edge, the whole thing will be selected, and then you can move up and down. So after that, this whole place is called a face. Again, you can select a whole face and again do changes like it is required. So the major differences of 2D and 3D is, in 2D you can see the height of the person and the width of the person. So let us keep it x and y. So you can see x axis and y axis, whereas in 3D you can see the height, the depth, and the width. So it is 3-dimensional. That is how it derives its name, 3-dimensional. So it is x, y, and z. So we make use of 3 axes, and that is why you can come to know the depth by having a looking at it. We know that it is so the material is so thick or so this thing, whereas here you actually don't know how thick the material is. You just have to use your imagination, whereas here the animators or the modelers, they do it so that you don't have to think much, and it also gives good feel. Again, as we see in this image we take, or this image, only this is a character. Okay, so only this, until this is the character which is 3D modeled. The background is again done using compositing. Okay, now that is the only part which is 3D. Now here you see this trees and the sky, it is again composited. It's again the work of VFX, visual effects. So the real images of trees are taken and they're added into the background to appear real. And here also we can see the sky is a real sky being placed behind, but it gives the illusion that even that is animated. So the point of what I'm trying to make is, all type of animations can be combined to make the visuals. So 2D and 3D. This is 2D composition. Usually you have a 2D photo, the clouds, the photo of the clouds. They are put together in the background, and it gives the illusion that even that is being animated. Again, it's a very good way to attract people, because most of the fantasy items cannot be made physically, and again it costs a lot to make physically, hence they use such methods which gives enough appealing look. So again, special effects, also known as VFX. VFX is a new term. Special effects was used before. So VFX stands for visual effects, and some of the abbreviations. SFX stands for sound effects. So it's again usual illusions or visual tricks used in theaters, films, televisions, video games, stimulator industry to stimulate the imagined events in a story or a virtual world. Like I said, in video games it's extensively used because you don't know if the player or the user will go left or right, so everything is put into algorithm. So depending on the key which he presses, the animation happens respectively. So if a user or a player is playing a 1 fps shooting game, the animation of the gun is coded in such a way that if the user presses keyboard or the mouse button, the animation takes place and the rest continues. So in stimulators, the reason why special effects is highly used in stimulators is it mimics, there will be screens which will be mimicking the environment. So let's say if the government has bought a new fighter jet, it is not very advisable to let the trainers train it in the very expensive helicopters or the fighter jets. So first they make them train them using stimulators. Stimulators will have the hood and the interiors built like a fighter jet or the vehicle they want to test it on, and then the screens will show images, it will show objects as real as possible. It will stimulate the vibrations, the sound, the visions, exactly like how it is in the real. So the trainers train in stimulators first. Once they get a hold of it, once they understand how the machinery works, and then they go and train on the real fighter jets. So that is why 3D animation, VFX, all these are very very helpful. It saves time, it saves money, it saves a lot of resources. So as I was saying, it is very expensive to do few things like making a 60th century castle sink or make it break. It's again like very expensive to explode things, explode expensive cars. There are space restrictions, there are economical restrictions. So all that can be fulfilled by computer graphics. So it uses imaging, special effects, animation. It makes use of all elements and makes it look both realistic and appealing for the viewers. Special effects is now almost used in everyday life. You have AR and VR technologies which came into play, virtual reality and augmented reality. So there we can see things are virtually there while shooting. It's virtually there. So virtual reality means to you experiencing the place without being at the place. You have something called VR box where you put your phone, you connect it through it, and it will show. If you turn to the left, you can see the left side of the things that are happening in the video. Then if you turn towards the right, you can see the right side, same up and down. So you can have a 360 view of what is happening around. That is VR. And then augmented reality is AR, where while you're shooting a picture or shooting a camera, most of our smartphones have this option of AR. Well, while the recording takes place, there is an animated object there, the face is changed, you can put a cartoon face to your images. So those are augmented reality. While we are capturing the live motion, we can add animation on the go. So those are augmented reality. So special effects really plays an important role, from the byline of a person to again as we can see, from showing the byline, who is talking, to the news highlights. All those things can and are done using special effects, again to show things which are in a fantasy, the animals which are made, the robots which are not yet made, or showing aliens. It is not possible to physically bring them, so animation and VFX are one of the important factors to show fantasies, to show some actions which are not possible physically. So here we can see an example where this a person is holding a dragon here, and here it's just a green color object with red color dots. So all these dots are nothing but tracker marks. So these dots are used to track objects. They use a 3D tracking, and tracking this depending on how it moves, and CGI character can be placed there so it looks as real as possible. So same thing happens in character animation. So the character animation usually have tracker all over the face, so that the computer is capable of understanding even the tiniest of the expressions. Once the acting is done in the post-production, the face is replaced, like how the concept of using green screen takes place. The face is again replaced by CGI characters. Here, if you have observed Avatar, they have a very big height. They are up to like 7 feet in the movie, 7 to 8 feet. All that are shown using VFX, because a normal human, an average human can't act being 7 feet, or even if you use supplements underneath also. Now here also we see a model which looks like it is a model used like a place where it is snowing. So you have all the rock. These are physically built, so miniatures, and if the director wanted to blow this building or create some effects here, it will be done in such a small scale, but it will appear as if this was very big and very large. Again, you see the green screen being used here. The green screen helps in changing the background. So these are some of just glimpse of VFX or graphics being used in television and movie production. And that is all for today. Keep watching more for such content. Thank you.